Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Fowler here. I'm going to read to you the story of the first Easter rabbit. This book's been written by Kate Walker and illustrated by Marina McAllan. The first Easter rabbit. The first Easter rabbit was born in a hen house in a little box of straw. His name was Henry. Even in the dark, beneath his mother's feathers, he knew he was different. Henry wasn't like his brothers and sister. He couldn't say cheep. He suffered terribly from an itchy beak. But he did have wings. It was a pity that they had grown on the top of his head, but that didn't worry his mother, so Henry didn't let it worry him. Until the day his mother stepped off the nest and Henry had his first good look at the other chickens. And they had their first good look at him. "There's something wrong with that chicken," one hen whispered. "If you ask me," said a second hen, "he's not a chicken at all." "Not a chicken! Not a chicken!" They raced off to tell everyone the news. As far as the farmyard hens were concerned, if you weren't a chicken, the only other thing you could be was a terrible monster. "Of course I'm a chicken," Henry thought. "If not a hen-type chicken, then maybe a baby rooster." He looked at his tail. Roosters had gorgeous big tails. His was a little piece of fluff on the ground. Perhaps it hadn't started growing yet. There were lots of feathers lying about the farmyard. Goose feathers, duck feathers, a feather from the farmer's wife's hat. These could help my tail along, Henry thought, and gathered a lovely big bunch. He took these into the barn where the glue pot was kept. He sat in the glue pot, then sat on the feathers. "Oh, what a gorgeous tail!" cried the first hen when Henry strutted outside. "Didn't I always say he was going to be a magnificent rooster?" said the second hen. Suddenly, all the roosters envied Henry's tail and all the hens wanted to scratch for food for him. "I'm a chicken at last," thought Henry. "How wonderful!" But one by one, Henry's tail feathers fell out and the hens started whispering again. "He's awfully young to be losing his tail," said the first. "If you ask me, that was the most unrooster-like tail to begin with," said the second. "He's not a chicken! He's not a chicken!" It started all over again. "I am a chicken," thought Henry. "I've got to be a chicken." If he couldn't be a rooster-type chicken, then he'd be an egg-laying type chicken instead. Laying eggs looked easy. You sat in a straw box, grunted, and out they popped. Henry sat in a box and grunted for an entire day. But there were no pops and no eggs. "See," said the first hen, "he can't lay eggs." "That proves it," said the second. "He's definitely not a chicken." Henry spotted a stone on the ground, exactly the size and shape of an egg. It wasn't the right colour, but he could fix that. He rolled the stone into the barn and opened the farmer's paint pots. The next time the hens waddled past, Henry stood up, and there was his egg, white with little brown speckles. "He's laid an egg!" the hens gasped. "He's a chicken after all!" All all Henry's friends came back. He was one of them again. Henry found a new egg-sized stone every day and painted it with brown speckles, or sometimes blue or yellow. He filled his nest with them. But things went wrong. One by one, everyone else's eggs cracked open and out popped little yellow chicks. Poor Henry! No matter how hard he banged his eggs together, he couldn't make them crack. Soon all the other hens had chicks following them around while Henry was still sitting in his straw box. "There's something wrong with those eggs," Henry heard the first hen say. "If you ask me," said the second hen, "they're not eggs at all." They glared at him with beady eyes, and Henry knew what they were thinking. Henry quickly rolled his eggs into the barn and painted them yellow with little black eyes and red beaks. Then he rolled them out into the farmyard. "They're my chicks," he said. But this time the hens weren't fooled. They squawked in fright. "They're not chickens! They're ugly and they grow into horrible monsters!" Henry panicked. He rolled his chicks back into the barn, opened all the paint pots and painted them again with spots and stars and every pretty thing he could think of. His chicks were beautiful. He'd show them. "Hello, Henry," said the farmyard cow. "What are you doing?" "Making my chicks pretty to take them for a stroll," he said. "They're certainly pretty," said the cow, "but they're not chicks." "Well, maybe they're not chicks exactly," said Henry, "but they're my eggs." "They're not eggs either," said the cow. Henry's wings dropped either side of his head. "They've got to be eggs," he said. "If they're not, that means I'm not a chicken, and if I'm not a chicken, I'm a terrible monster." The cow laughed. "I don't think so, Henry. The only thing that would be scared of you is a carrot." "But if I'm not a chicken and I'm not a monster," said Henry, "what am I?" "Anyone with 2 eyes can see what you are," said the cow, blinking at the beautifully painted stones. "You're an artist," she said. Henry told his mother. "Guess what? I'm not a monster. I'm an artist." "That's nice, Henry," she said. "Now be a good boy and peck your supper." It had never mattered to his mother what Henry was. He was her son, and she loved him. But it mattered to the hens. "Well, of course he's an artist," said the first. "Didn't I always say he was special?" "He's more than special," said the second. "He's a genius, and we discovered him. The world is going to remember us for that." It didn't. The world soon forgot the 2 silly hens, but it remembered forever the first Easter rabbit.